Hey, welcome back. In today's short episode, I want to just give a quick explanation for this turbulent times that we've been seeing across the stock market and indeed the crypto markets across the world globally, and why we should use this as an opportunity to actually buy into the dip. So really, what I've seen is there are things that happen for no reason whatsoever. And there are times where black swan event, this is something that's outside of anyone's control from an investment perspective. So really, we should treat all macro market conditions with a pinch of salt, because it catches us unawares, and it's got absolutely nothing to do with our own conviction as to why we believe the investments that we may have in stocks or in cryptos. It doesn't really change anything. It doesn't change any of our own personal convictions. At least from my side, at least, I'm invested in high premium AI stocks and Bitcoin fundamentally. And as a result of this black swan event, this hasn't actually changed the slightest my own personal conviction as to why I believe that Bitcoin and the AI premium stocks have a tremendous growth into the medium long term. That hasn't actually changed my own personal conviction about it. So we should really use as a lesson learned. It's got nothing wrong with how we've positioned our own investments, and we should continue headstrong. And for those of us that are, we feel that we have some surplus cash, or to dump some really low level investments, whether it's bonds or commodities, because they're really absolutely worth nothing. What maybe we can do in events like these is to add to our existing positions to leverage this dip in price, because we're confident that in the medium to long term they're going to recover gradually, right? I'm not a day trader. I'm not a professional trader. I don't believe in speculative short-term trading. I leave that to the degenerate traders out there. I'm not, because really short-term trading is awfully dangerous, and really generally you can only see returns only a handful of days in a year. I'm a long-term investor, and that's how I position my own investment decisions, right? You have to do the homework. You have to handpick a few. Not a believer in diversification, because the rich people out there, they're not diversification investors at all, right? I'm a believer in Bitcoin. It's a unique digital asset. That's how I perceive Bitcoin. And I'm seeing tremendous growth and uptake from the likes of major institutions, even talks from sovereign leaders out there. And the use case for Bitcoin is growing, right? I just recently published some videos on the prospect of Bitcoin layers, right? So there's 3 different layers in the Bitcoin network. And layer 3 particularly, I'm going to see tremendous growth, especially where there are new fintech startup companies sprouting out to build up and publish and deploy several layer 3 apps to transact on Bitcoin for users, right? Whether it's through their smartphones or not. There's even talks about another interesting use case for Bitcoin is Bitcoin backed bonds using Bitcoin. So I made a video on that, because I'm convinced that once we reach high enough the S-curve adoption of Bitcoin, that these use cases will materialize, right? Another example is another milestone where I think is going to be pivotal as part of the Bitcoin adoption endgame is banks having to accept and even self-custody Bitcoins on their platforms and provide to their customers. There is an example of a bank in Brazil called Nubank, where they're the first bank in the world to have done this. So the ripple effect is going to be huge across the banking financial institutions space alone. These are just a handful of potential of use cases for Bitcoin. So I'm not going to use this black swan event as an excuse to suddenly panic sell and sell my existing Bitcoin positions. No, because I'm convinced, and I've done the legwork, I've done the homework to reassure myself that Bitcoin from a digital asset perspective is the best thing that could ever happen to us. So I'm going to continue to hold on to that position that I'm Bitcoin. And if I have the extra cash and I see discounted prices developing, then I'll use it to add to those positions. We are seeing other major institutional investors, retail investors doing the same thing. They're adding to their existing positions, whether it's on Bitcoin or on high premium stocks. So the message here is, let's not be distracted. Let's remain strong. Let's not fall into the habit of panic sell whenever there is these type of macro condition and black swan events occurring, and add to those positions. when we can afford to do that. This is the whole point of this video, and please remain courageous and headstrong on your investments, because we should see this as a medium to long term investment journey rather than speculative short-term trading that is left to the degenerate traders out there, but not for the likes of us who want to generate intergenerational wealth for our own families and loved ones where we're not here, and is the whole point. And if you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, as I regularly publish some interesting videos that I think could be of value to you investors out there. So until next time.